Hello there and welcome back to Bullets for Bucks. My name's Stephen Bresnaugh and today I have something super exciting to show you. That's the new Bergara B14 Wilderness Ridge rifle that was designed specifically for hunters in mind, and this one happens to be chambered in 300 PRC. Now it comes in chambering such as 308 Winchester, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 300 Win Mag, and a couple of others. Now let's start here at the rear and just take a look at the recoil pad. It is quite substantial and thick. I would say that's almost an inch, maybe even greater than an inch thick. It's firm, but not too firm that it doesn't mitigate felt recoil. I would say a Ruger American has a softer recoil pad, but it's not as soft. This one's not as soft as, or excuse me, as firm as say a Winchester Model 70. So it's somewhere in the middle. And I have field tested this rifle extensively, and I can say it does a good job at adequately mitigating felt recoil. Then coming forward, you have this beautiful woodland camo paint job, which by the way is done by hand, so each rifle paint job is slightly unique. It's still going to be woodland camo, but it may look just slightly different, which is a nice touch. Then over that woodland camo, they have a very nice, what they call soft touch coating. And this is like a rubberized coating, but it's not too rubbery. It almost feels like you're running your hand along a piece of suede. So it's just rubbery enough that you're not going to maybe have it fall out of your hands, have it slip in your hands in icy or snowy conditions, wet conditions, but it's not too grippy that's going to get caught on your clothes or be uncomfortable. All right, then moving forward to the receiver, you have this beautiful sniper gray Cerakoted receiver made of high quality steel. And then you have this beautiful button rifled 4140 chromoly steel barrel that is also coated in sniper gray Cerakote. So both the receiver and the barrel are going to be impervious to rain and dirt, making it excellent for hunting. That way you don't have to worry about rust or corrosion building up on the outside of your receiver or barrel. Then coming forward to the end, you have this nice Omni brake, muzzle brake that the rifle comes with, and the barrel is threaded 5/8 by 24. The muzzle brake isn't huge, but that is nice because it doesn't add weight or bulk to your hunting rifle. But it's big enough to significantly reduce felt recoil and not be overly loud. So a bigger, more robust muzzle brake would make this rifle even louder for fellow hunters. And this one is kind of a nice mix between too loud, too bulky, and not enough. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, so it does a great job. And I can tell you, you can shoot about 20 to 30 rounds comfortably in 300 PRC out of this rifle. Also, it is Cerakoted in the sniper gray paint job, and because it comes from the factory, it is nice and flush fit, which is an added benefit of this rifle. Then coming back to the stock again, you have a nice sling swivel stud at the rear and then one at the front, so you can attach that nice sling. Now, I think I went over this, but it has nice checkering right here in the palm swell and checkering as well on the fore end. Underneath you have what I believe is aluminum bottom metal and a trigger guard. So it is real metal. It's not plastic like a Tikka or something along those lines, which is nice. So it is metal, but I believe it is aluminum as it is non-magnetic. You can open up the floor plate by simply pushing this little tab right here. And then your follower is also metal, which is nice because a lot of times this is metal, but the follower is plastic. I like seeing metal. It allows the bolt to run smoother, and I just find it's more durable over time. Then coming up to the actual action or bolt on the rifle, you have a very nice tactical bolt knob right here, and the bolt handle right here is threaded, so you could change out this tactical aluminum bolt knob. I have made sure this rifle is obviously empty and there's no rounds in the chamber or in the magazine area before starting the video. At the rear, you have a nice cock indicator with a red dab of paint so that you can see if it is indeed cocked or not cocked. The shroud on this, I believe, is some type of aluminum, but I could be wrong. It has a two-position safety. It has a two-position safety all the way forward. Of course, the bolt is unlocked and the trigger fires. You can cock it again, put it on safe, and while it is on safe, the trigger, of course, the mechanism is locked and you cannot fire the rifle, but you can still open the bolt and unload, load the rifle, or so on. I would like to see this rifle have a 3-position safety on it rather than a 2-position. I would like to see it with that 3-position, so you have a position where it locks the bolt in place so that it does not get caught on a backpack, tree branches, or so on when you're either holding it hunting or it's on your pack behind you and you're in rough country. Because I have had one come open before, and if you do have a round chambered, you'll lose that round in the field. Also, there are rare cases where maybe the bolt could fall out, but due to the bolt release design, I don't think that would happen on this rifle. Let's go ahead and lock that. Now, let's go ahead and talk about that bolt release. The bolt release is on the left side. It's a substantial metal lever. You simply remove the bolt back, push in that push in that lever, and the bolt will come out. To put it back in, you just push it back in and you have to either force it forward or you can come back in pushing that lever down at the same time, and it'll go in a little bit easier. Of course, on the side of the receiver right here, you have a very nice Bergara emblem and name, and it is milled flat, it looks like, to shed a little bit of weight and just gives it a nice extra touch and look. Now, going back to the stock is polymer, but it's fiber reinforced polymer. So similar to a Tikka, where you have fibers introduced into the polymer to create more rigidity and make the stock more durable. It isn't as good as fiberglass in my opinion, but it is a cheaper substitute that is better than just regular polymer, such as found on the Ruger American. Now let's take a look at the Bergara Performance trigger. Absolutely no perceivable creep. Let's try that one more time. Beautiful single stage trigger, no creep at all. Breaks very lightly. So this is a factory adjustable trigger, meaning you can adjust it easily by adjusting one set screw. And I believe it came around 3 pounds set from the factory, and I was able to adjust it down to 1 3/4 pounds without doing a trigger job, which, by the way, you can't really do a trigger job on a Bergara trigger, at least not easily, because it is riveted together in such a way that makes it difficult to take apart. A Howa trigger, you can just simply remove some pins and it comes apart to do a trigger job on it. But you shouldn't have to, and I don't advise you do for safety reasons. And seeing as this one adjusts down so low, there's really not a reason to, especially if you're going to be using it for hunting. It does have a little bit of over travel. So things that I might see could be improved would be basically just take out that over travel and the trigger would be that much better. I would say that it's not quite as crisp and clean as a Winchester MOA trigger, but you can adjust it lighter than a Winchester MOA trigger. Certainly a good trigger, on par with Tikka quality, Howa quality, and so on. It does have a curved trigger. It does have a curved trigger blade without any knurling on it. All right, so now let's talk about the action itself. Wow, that's really smooth. Definitely smoother than the Remington 700 action. Let me see if I can get in frame a little bit better here, guys, for you. Definitely smoother than a Remington 700 action. I mean, you can see it easily passes the glide test. Locking and unlocking the bolt is quite easy. It doesn't have very much of a catch. It's pretty effortless. You don't have to jerk the gun off your point of aim if you were trying to do it prone to lift the bolt handle. It has a 90-degree throw, so it is greater than, say, a Tikka with a 70-degree throw, or a Ruger American, I believe, also has a 70-degree throw. But it still has plenty of clearance from the scope that it works just fine. And man, that is a smooth trigger. Let's go ahead and take a deeper look at the bolt itself. Now, people often question me, why, don't you have this thing on a stand where we can see the rifle easier, or have multiple rifles on a table? Well, it's because this workspace is so small that it's literally impossible for me to do that. The bolt itself is made of high quality steel metal, and it is polished along the body, and that's partially what makes this bolt so smooth in the receiver. Then coming forward, you have, of course, 2 locking lugs, similar to a Remington 700 design. And inside here, you have a plunger ejector, and then you have a sliding plate extractor. Okay, so basically, the Bergara rifles are a Remington 700 clone where they've taken a Remington 700 and made improvements to it, and then they're selling it to the public already improved, so you don't have to go and buy a Remington 700 and then do a whole bunch of things to get it up to par. No, Bergara's done that for you. I haven't had any extraction or ejection problems or feeding problems with this Bergara. Like I said, I used it in the field. Now, you might be saying, why are you saying good things about Bergara? You literally 2 or 3 years ago just said, I do not recommend one. It's bad. Don't get one. Well, that's because I had a Bergara HMR that I lost a lot of money on out of my own pocket, did tons of testing with, and the thing just could not shoot a group at all. So I'm not saying go out and buy a Bergara. I'm saying that they're getting a second chance here, and it might be worth taking a second look at them, because this one so far is doing great. I think they had a lot of quality control issues when they started selling in the US market, and when they started the B14 line, and then I think they're slowly improving that. So as long as they stay in step and keep improving their quality control, it might become a brand I can eventually endorse or recommend. You'll also notice on this bolt head that it is a coned bolt head, and it also has a coned breech inside. So that allows you to extract and feed easier and have a little bit more smooth action when you're working that bolt. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this bolt back in place. Like I said, all your 7 Remington 700 accessories, stocks, and scope bases will work with a Bergara rifle. Now I'm going to take the barreled action out of the stock, and we're going to actually take a look at the internal of the stock, talk about how it's made, and the receiver itself. All right, so we've taken the Bergara barreled action out of the stock, and let's take a look at the inside of this stock. Like I said, it is polymer reinforced with fibers. It does have a tiny bit of twist to it if you torque it hard enough. The inside has reinforcing along the barrel channel, a spot for the recoil lug, and then it has these epoxy pillars for pillar bedding. I would like to see those metal. I don't understand why they used epoxy, but maybe it's better, and I just don't know. Then you come forward to the barreled receiver here, and we can see that the trigger mechanism or trigger body is held in with 2 pins. I prefer a trigger body that is held in with 1 screw, such as a Tikka T3X or a Howa hack trigger. Of course, you have your adjustment screw that's closest to the receiver is the one for adjusting the weight of the trigger pull. Receiver screw here, or hole for the receiver screw. You have a front receiver screw hole here, a rear receiver screw at the tang. Then right here you have a recoil lug that's quite substantial that sits into a recess in the receiver and is sandwiched between the barrel and the receiver. So it's not one part of the receiver like I like to see. It's separate, but it does sit into a recess in the receiver and is sandwiched between the barrel and the receiver. I would like to see this become one piece here, and I feel like there's more integrity to a receiver that has the recoil lug one part of the receiver. All right, folks, so I hope you enjoyed that review of the Bergara Wilderness Ridge chambered in 300 PRC. It does come, like I said, chambered also for 308, Winchester 6.5 PRC, 6.5 Creedmoor, and a couple other calibers as well. The rifle is performing great in my field testing. Haven't had any issues with it at all. Been extremely pleased with it. Hopefully Bergara continues to improve their quality control issues that they had originally, and we see more and more consistently accurate rifles coming out from them. The rifle weighs approximately 7.9 pounds and is 46 inches long. Now they do advertise a 26-inch version, which this one was actually advertised as, but when measured without the muzzle brake, it came up to 24 inches. So I'm not sure if the store I bought it from mislabeled it, or if the 26-inch is really 26 inches when you include the muzzle brake, but 24 inches without it. They say on the website that it is a magazine capacity They say on the website that it has a capacity of 2+1 for 300 PRC and 6.5 PRC, but when I field tested it, it definitely handles 3 cartridges without any problems and loads just fine and feeds just fine with 3 in the magazine area. So why it says 2+1 is all I can figure is that's a mistake on their website. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this video review of the Bergara Wilderness Ridge. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe below, and I look forward to hearing back from you. Remember, there are follow-up videos coming on this rifle, and I'll be using it extensively throughout this summer. So stay tuned.